The U.S.'s two-party hegemony system has undergone some interesting developments this voting cycle, with Kamala Harris committed to pitching herself as not the progressive option to the more moderate Biden, but instead a moderate herself who will even invite Republicans to her administration.
You ask me what's the difference between Joe Biden and me? Well, that will be one of the differences. I'm going to have a Republican in my cabinet.
We even have Liz Cheney, the daughter of former vice president and puppeteer of the war on terror, Dick Cheney, coming out to endorse Harris.
To reject the depraved cruelty of Donald Trump. And I ask you instead to help us elect Kamala Harris for president.
So what is going on here? Well, Bing's mini take on the whole situation is that since Trump has a firm grip on the Republicans and steering them in a more illiberal direction, it is now up to the Democratic Party to assume the role of both a centrist liberal and liberal conservative party until, presumably, Trump is defeated in 2024 and the Republican opposition to him can leverage the defeat to exorcise him and his ilk from the party, thus resetting the previous status quo. In a way, Harris's campaign is not so much a campaign to save democracy, but rather to save the Republican Party. The unwritten rules of the two-party hegemony are clear. You can mess with elections and throw mud at the other hegemonic party, but once the numbers are called, you concede to the other guy. The 2000 election, for example, was its own episode of shenanigans, but in the end, Gore called Bush the winner.
Just moments ago, I spoke with George W. Bush and congratulated him on becoming the 43rd President of the United States.
And the U.S. state got its surveillance capabilities beefed with the Patriot Act, which Barack Obama helped to extend in 2011, because both parties benefit from mass surveillance against the general populace, an extra tool in the arsenal of the omnicompetent centrist state's goals of disempowering all political passions into faceless and depersonalized procedural meat grinders that take place every 2 to 4 years. However, Trump's incitement of a Capitol riot during the electoral certification was a direct threat to the peaceful transfer of power, a hallmark of maintaining the two-party hegemony's image of robust democracy. So now, Bush gets a makeover as the quirky guy you can have a beer with, even though the war on terror left many dead on the battlefields of Iraq and Afghanistan, and terrorized by enhanced interrogation techniques conducted in places like Guantanamo, while Trump is deemed a fascist and sequel to Adolf Hitler incarnate. Don't get me wrong, Trump is a terrible person, and his goal of turning the U.S. into a one-party dominant nativist hell is also a nightmare of its own. But if the American public has found itself in the business of trading nightmares between right populism and centrist omnicompetence, casting votes between Freddy Krueger or Pinhead, then it's probably time to wake up.